So this video I've been wanting to do for a while. It's going to be rambling about Dom Mysterio for the legend that is known as C Designs. So obviously, as a lot of you probably know, I don't watch WWE consistently. Couldn't give you an actual modern, general take on what I know of Dom. I don't watch Raw matches, I don't really know what the storyline's going on with the guy. I think Dom's a talented wrestler. I'll never deny that. I think what I've seen of Dom when I used to watch in WWE, he is a good wrestler. I think his character works excellent. I think people praise Dom a bit more than they should, but I think the visual of Dom, obviously the massive homage to Eddie. But then, just in general, his in-ring stuff's great. What I've seen of him briefly in the AAA stuff, mainly highlights, but what I've seen, it seems like they understand Dom more than WWE do. And it's so weird because I just feel like Dom's whole thing for me now is he just needs to go. From an outside perspective, the quote, tell me when I'm wrong, but I feel like I don't think Dom's ever going to be seen as a world champ guy for WWE. I don't think he's portrayed as that now. I think you look at what WWE like as a world champ. I mean, you've still got Bron Breakkers there, obviously. Jacob Fatu, probably. Even the Javon Evans, people like this. I don't think Dom's kind of... I don't know what it is. Again, it could be, just pure ignorance on my part. But I just think Dom's a very interesting case because great wrestler. I do wonder with Dom what happens kind of after, after people get... Well, I was going to say when people get sick of the Eddie thing. I don't know if people ever get sick of the Eddie thing. I think for me, Dom... Like the Mania moment last year, where he wins the IC belt and then, he gets that moment over. It's like, people love to hate Dom. He's such a beloved act from WWE that just people would like to see more of him. And especially as a face, people like to cheer him. The obvious calls for him to eventually retire his dad, Ray. Obviously. And I feel like that, if they didn't have Ray be retired by Dom, what's going on? But just in general, I feel like with Dom... It's this whole character's what's got him over, the whole Dirty Dom, the scumbag, the Eddie Guerrero tribute act, which is great. It's been fun. But I feel like with Dom, is that going to be his entire career? Is that going to be who he is, in general? I don't know. Because, again, I think the guy's obviously the guy's young. The guy's got a lot of time ahead of him, and the guy can go already. I don't think the guy's had the true, showcase of his in-ring stuff yet. I feel like people go, oh, Dom is good, because they know he's good, but rather than, I don't think we've had I don't say we haven't had a great Dom match, because it's all interpreted, but I mean, I feel like if you look at other talents, just, maybe not in WWE, because I couldn't really give you an example, but, more in, just in general in wrestling, I feel like they're just allowed to breathe. I think that's what my problem with WWE is kind of a lot, where they don't let wrestlers just let them be themselves, which is fine, it's how they do, whatever, it's just not for me. But with Dom, I feel like he's someone who could benefit from that, because I feel like that will just let him just explode, essentially. And I don't know where Dom futures lies. I think he will stay in WWE, because they'd be stupid to let a guy as marketable as Dom go. And just, when he becomes face, I mean, I think he has to at this point. There's no way he don't. But I mean... Does he, how does it change? Do we just not get an Eddie act? Is he like Eddie Guerrero as a face, maybe? Because Eddie Guerrero as a face is nowhere near how lovable Rey Mysterio is as a face. I loved Eddie, I love Rey, whatever, but it's completely night and day. And just, I don't know, Dom's he's a very weird case to me. Again, I think he's a great wrestler, and I feel like the Dom Mysterio, vortex, so to speak, from what I see, is definitely a thing where, look at Finn Balor. Finn Balor hasn't escaped Dominik Mysterio for how long now? And it's not really a bad thing, but it's also... I don't know. I wonder how long are they going to have Dom be this way, right? Is Dom always going to love these chicken tendies, whatever the fuck? You know what I mean? Is he always going to have... He's obviously he's not always going to have the mullet. He's not always going to have the mustache. But, is he always going to be, getting booed out of arenas? Is he going to get over-cheered when he's in arenas when he eventually turns face? Do they miss the mark on turning him face? Did they turn him face too late? You don't know. And I feel like that's what really, not worries me about Dom, but intrigues me. because I feel like himself, there's a lot there. Maybe not everything as of late, but a lot there. And I think visually, I think that's a big thing for me. Visually, a lot of wrestlers, I think Dom has it visually. I think visually just, he exudes that character, you know what I mean? Like the facial expressions, the body language, the dress code, visually. It's like Kyle Fletcher. When Kyle found himself with the pink, how jacked he got with the shaved head, that was his look. And with Dom, it feels like he has found that, but it doesn't feel sustainable for Dom. Compared to Kyle, it doesn't feel as sustainable. I'm not saying Kyle's is sustainable, but I think it's more sustainable than Dom's. And I just feel like with Dom, I feel like Dom's always good, especially when, for a period, it seemed Dom was just a backup act and he never wrestled, and now he's... Does he wrestle every week? I don't know. I just feel like with Dom, I wouldn't be against it. I think what would be great for Dominik Mysterio, at least in my opinion, it sounds wild, and I don't think it'll ever happen, if Dom kind of did what Ray did, where he leaves and then comes after like a year or two on the Indies. I know Ray was gone for longer, but say if Dom left on a year to go to the Indies, or just stick in AAA, I'm not against that. That could be fun. And then he comes back and, you know, like, okay, we all know how good Dom is, and it kind of builds his stock up instead of comedic. I feel like Dom's a great comedic character, but I feel like, for me, I want to see someone like a Dominik Mysterio. You know, these are things that I would like to see that would entice me to watch more. That's where I'm coming from. And I feel like if Dom Mysterio was seen as a serious competitor, a serious wrestler, really, and not that he isn't, but, you know, he's not portrayed as that. I feel like that's what would draw me in. I think the great wrestler. I think he's comedic as all hell. I just want that to be showcased in a different way. I feel like he's showcased quite incorrectly for what I would personally do with Dom. I'd have Dom be a bit, again, this is not from a WWE guy, but this is like, for Dom, I would personally have Dom be a bit more active, be a bit more, just honestly, more of a wrestler, frankly. That's what I want, and I don't think that's unreasonable to ask. Yeah, I mean, I think he's, again, I don't want anyone to think I don't like Dom. I do like Dom. From the WWE's what people I do like. I just think, for me, how I like my wrestling, I'd have Dom be a bit different. But how he is now, he's definitely great. He'll definitely do stuff for WWE. And I feel like, for his own benefit in WWE, he needs kind of to be portrayed that. And if that means, you know, he goes to AAA for a year or so. Because I feel like, again, they get him perfectly. They get Dominik Mysterio. For what I've seen, like, even... Like, it was that one where I seen the clip of it, it was brilliant. He wins the belt, the main AAA belt, and Ray's there, and he goes, "Put that shit on me," and he starts fronting Day, and he goes, "Put that shit on me," and it's like, oh, you are a horrible piece of shit, and I think that's what's great. I feel like that is the Dominik Mysterio I like, not the, hey, I want the chicken tendies, like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, I get you, you know, you're marketing to the kids, but I don't want dirty Dom Mysterio to be our truth backup act, in a way, you know what I mean? Like, if you want to be a true heel, and I think with Dom, with these boos, they are important. It's a very notable part, because obviously with Dom, for me, it's like a JBL thing in a way. It's going to sound wild, but hear me out. With JBL, you know, he was a true heel, and yeah, he was comedic, but he was always seen as this true piece of shit. I feel like Dom's being said, like, if people go, Dom's a piece of shit, and it's like, is he? Like, yeah, like he had an affair and left Rhea Ripley, God forbid. You know what I mean? And, like, you know, the Ray stuff's so far removed. It's like, personally, I feel like just have him be a bit more, like, you know, that AAA moment. Put that shit on me. You know, like Edge. Frankly, like old school Edge. Get him, like, not to the extent where he's, you know, fucking in the ring. Maybe not that far. They'd be cool, but maybe not that far. But have him be a bit more horrible. You know what I mean? I feel like we're kind of drifting away from that, but I feel like if you get Dom to be... If you want to be Dom, have a true heel. Yeah, the Eddie Guerrero gimmick's enough, but if Dom was retired to tomorrow, you would go, oh, I love Dom Mysterio. It reminds me so much of Eddie Guerrero. And it's like, yeah, but what could you say about Dom Mysterio himself? You know what I mean? I feel like that's... Because what I see there, limited but true, there is something unique. And I just wish we just had this time to bloom it rather than, oh, no, we love Eddie Guerrero. Like, I love Eddie Guerrero. But I want to love Dom Mysterio. I think that's a great way to put it. But either way, great wrestler. And frankly, I just hope he fulfills everyone's anticipation and potential of giving it the guy. I think he will. I think he's got more than enough. I just think, do WWE let him? That's the big question for me. So yeah, that's my little thoughts on Dom Mysterio. Let me know if I've got anything wrong or what your opinions are, because, you know, again, I don't know as much as Dom. That's why I feel a bit weird doing these WWE ones, but whatever. Yeah, thank you for the request, C9s. If you have any other people you want to see me ramble about, let me know, because I'll be all for that. But yes, thank you very much.